What are the most important things we can do to protect our kids from gun violence?
Ask about guns in other people's homes and cars, and making sure that if we have firearms, we've securely stored them, and cars. And I can talk about that in a minute, because these weren't questions that I've always asked. And it was something that I learned about with moms. But securing our own firearms is basic. Your gun should be locked, unloaded, with the ammunition stored separately. Not every gun owner will get on board with that. So there's harm reduction that we do in that instance. But I always ask other families now, do you have firearms, and how do you keep them stored? Because even if you believe your child will never touch a gun, children who have had a 1-week safety training compared to children who have had no safety training are just as likely to touch a firearm when unsupervised. We are a mom too. How many times have we told our kids, don't touch the cell phone, don't touch the stove, don't touch this? And what do? They're like, oh, I'm going to touch that. And so the onus of keeping kids safe is always on the adult. We can't expect kids not to get in the pool when we're not looking, or not to run out the front door, just the same as we can't expect them not to touch a firearm.
This is so fascinating for me. I think this is like an incredibly valuable thing. Do you have a gun in your home? How is your gun secured? We want to ask that question. We were talking about this in our podcast meeting earlier, and one of the members of Mindful Mama Mentor was like, I would feel so awkward asking that. And it's awkward, but isn't this probably the most important question you can ask? How do we go about approaching it?
Yeah, this is always interesting. I remember the first time I asked about a firearm, because I thought, gosh, nobody wants to be asked this. This is going to be terrible. And my child was at an event, and she wanted to go home with another mom and her friend. And so I remember working up the nerve, and I walked over and I said, do you have any firearms in your home? And at the time I just asked about her home, and she said, no, but I have one in the car. She's like, I keep it under the seat because I work construction and I have to go to these construction sites. And yeah, no, it's in my car. And I was like, oh, now what? So I said, I'm going to drive my own child. She can come over, but I think I'm going to drive her because I just am not comfortable with a gun in the car. And she said, okay. And I said, can we make a safety plan for when we get to your house of how you're going to secure your firearm when my child is there? And she said, oh, absolutely. I can take it in the house and put it in the safe. Because again, kids get in cars and they play in cars. They shouldn't, but they do. And so we worked on a safety plan together to make sure that firearm was secured. But I was surprised at how much information she gave me, because I think at the end of the day, gun owners want to be safe, and they think they're being safe by hiding a gun or storing a gun in a place they think a child can't reach or won't touch, when in fact it's not safe. There are car safes where you can have access to your firearm in 3 seconds. And so it was a good learning opportunity for both of us to talk about this.
Okay. And so for people who don't know, we should be looking for a locked safe and the ammunition stored separately. That's what we're really looking for, right?
Yes. That's what we're really looking for. That's what I tell people. That's like the gold standard of securing your firearm. Some gun owners aren't comfortable with that. They want to be able to access their loaded firearm. So I take a harm reduction approach. I want to make sure it's in a safe that my child can't get into. There's ways to do it where it's fingerprint or where it's a code and not just a cable lock. It also depends on the age of your child and how savvy they are. That's my standard. I want to make sure that it's not in a nightstand, that it's not on top of a fridge, that it's not high in a cabinet, because that doesn't prevent a child from reaching those things. And what I've found is that the vast majority of people are quick to tell you that they have a firearm and how it's stored. I myself have started putting it, a lot of times kids, you meet the mom or we exchange numbers. And so my text is automatically, we have 4 dogs, they're kid safe. We have a pool, we have an alarm on it. Our doors are alarmed, so we know if a kid walks in or out. All screen time is supervised. Alcohol is locked up. Firearms are in a safe. Here's how we store them. Does your child have any allergies or anything that I need to know about their safety while they're in my home? And so I automatically put myself out there so that there's an expectation that if my
Oh,
child is
that's
coming to
great.
your
Yeah.
home, you're going to give me that same information.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.